What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason.
Hey friends, it's Desiree Josen.
Because they usually go all out for maintenance.
I loved it. And stop and be like, this is amazing.
I just think this is awesome for the both of them.
Hey, what's crackin' everybody? WWE Hall of Famer, The Godfather, and I want you to watch the #1, that's right, the #1 podcast, Chutes and Ladders. See you there. Peace.
Here are your hosts, Jason and Desiree.
Chutes and Ladders, Season 4 premiere, RiverCity Wrestling Con recap. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
It's hard to believe 2 years ago we officially launched Chutes and Ladders, and our very first episode covered RiverCity Wrestling Con. Now 2 years later, we're kicking off Season 4 by returning where it all began. We've got an incredible new season ahead, an amazing brand new open created by Brady Owens and the WSN Wrestling app, and today we're recapping one of the biggest wrestling fan events of the year. Des, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, thank you, Brady, for the intro. I love it. I hope everybody else loves it too. And can you believe it? It's been 2 years and it's been flying by. We're having so much fun and a lot of great things have happened in those 2 years for us.
100%. I'm with you. It flew by. We were literally going back and forth about whether we should do this or not, and it's been an amazing journey. So, wow, I can't believe it.
Best decision ever.
1,000,000%, I can totally agree. All right, now let's get into some of these topics. Des, the weekend headliners, Rey Mysterio and Goldberg. These two names are legends. They were featured attractions of the weekend. What was the crowd reaction like when the fans saw these guys?
Huge. One thing is, in St. Augustine at the World Golf Village, that's where the convention is held. It's a 2-day event. And on Saturday, we had 2 major headliners that have never been to this convention before, and that was Rey Mysterio and Goldberg. I had the pleasure of sitting on the panel for Rey. He was introducing his new cartoon, so we got to see a little bit of a sneak peek of that. Believe me, the crowds were following him, so I got a quick hello and that was it. But he was so gracious, and the same with Goldberg. They had lines throughout the afternoon that never ended, and I think even Rey, as soon as he left, he had to go and fly back to Europe for WWE. So it was really, really cool of someone who is an active WWE star to actually come to these conventions, because usually you have to be completely retired and out of the ring before coming to these. So this was huge.
Yeah, what a huge pull by the convention. Now, speaking of lines and buzz, did one of the wrestlers kind of create a little bit more buzz and have longer lines than the other?
I would say Rey. Everyone was talking about Rey, and he was only there for 1 day. Usually if it's a 2-day split, it's not as bad, but for Saturday it was definitely Rey. For Sunday it was Lita and Trish. Those girls, of course, caused a lot of chaos throughout the day.
That's so amazing. And speaking of someone that was in the actual convention in person, what stood out to you most about seeing these icons and how the way they interact with these fans?
You always get a little nervous when you see these people, because you don't know what their attitude is going to be like, or you just never know. And then you also have to understand that they're human and that there's got to be boundaries, but they are literally just walking through the crowds like normal people, very friendly, very happy. Even just to walk by, just a quick hi, they're smiling and so friendly. So luckily, I have not had anything negative in the past few years that I've gone. Everyone has been amazing.
That's so amazing to hear. Now let's talk about something very special because you participated. Let's talk about interview panels featuring our friend of the podcast, Scott Johnson, Simon Says, and some of the people that were on the panel, Rey Mysterio, like we just discussed APA, Lex Luger, Buff Bagwell. Which panel surprised you the most?
APA. And I'll start from this. I am the designated mic girl. So if you ever sit through these, I am the one that's literally running back and forth with the mic doing the questions. And it was really cool because they pulled me up to sit on two of them, which I was not prepared for. And I literally walked in and they're like, "You're sitting up here." And I'm like, what? What am I doing? But it was just really cool. So I got to sit with Lex on day 1, and day 2, I just hung out and answered questions. But I'm trying to think here. APA was scheduled, and we knew we were going to get some really awesome stories just because Ron Simmons is such a good talker and is such a good storyteller. You can literally just mention one person and he will go off for 15 minutes with these shoot interviews. Surprisingly, Bradshaw was a chatty Cathy and was telling these stories so charismatic. They're just larger than life. But the fun surprise was Godfather joined in, walked right on in, sat down, and I was looking at Scott. I was like, I could have sat here for hours just listening to them tell stories. And so Scott will be releasing these interviews and these panels throughout the year, so be on the lookout for that. Buff was amazing. Just a fun story about Buff. I get giddy because in the 90s, everyone knew I had this love for Shawn Michaels for WWF. Little did anyone know that I had a side piece in WCW, and I loved Buff Bagwell. Buff was the stuff, and I could not get enough. And I remember telling Scott before, I was like, "Oh my God, I got to meet Buff," because I had a crush on him when I was like 13 years old. And he told him in the middle of his interview, pointed me out, and I'm like blushing, like, oh my God, I was not going to tell Buff that. But what was really cool is he pulled me to the side afterwards. He talked to me for a little bit, took a selfie on his phone so he could show his fiance, like, hey, I still got it. It was just the coolest thing. I was giddy. After he left, I was just like, and all the guys were like laughing. But that was my fun experience. But panels were great. Like I mentioned, all of those will be going out on Going Ringside throughout the year on Scott's show.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I am kind of curious. Were there any particular stories, behind the scenes moments that had the audience hanging on every word? It was anything that Ron Simmons was talking about. They were talking about a bar fight and Bradshaw, just some really interesting stories about them being sober and not sober. They held nothing back. Those were the fun ones. Oh, man. All right, wow. And now let's talk about meet and greets. Featuring the New Age Outlaws and the Steiner Brothers, how are the interactions between the talent and the fans?
They are exactly how you think they are. Luckily, half of the roster that showed I've already met, so I didn't feel pressured to constantly be meeting everybody. But my biggest thing was the New Age Outlaws. Reason being, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they came to the convention and I just passed them and I was like, I got so many this weekend, I will see them next year. They never came back, so every year I wanted them to come and they just, for scheduling, just couldn't make it. And then when I saw them announced, I said, those are the guys that I have to meet. And I walked up to Billy Gunn. He crushed my hand. He is a very large man. He went to shake my hand, and I usually, if someone has a good grip, but I think he broke maybe a couple of bones. But I went, and his wife was like, did you hurt her? But yeah, he made fun of the spelling of my name, and he was just like, oh, you are just trouble. And Road Dogg was there just full of banter. And then I walk up there to take my picture, and they're just so big. And I know they're big, but I just looked at Billy Gunn and I was like, my God, you are huge. And then I told him, I was a fan of his sons too, Colton and Austin Gunn, but they weren't there, and I just assumed that they were filming Collision since it was a Saturday. He confirmed it, and I saw him on TV that night too, so it made sense. But it was a lot of fun, a lot of picking and having fun. And what was cool is all throughout the day, you could hear Billy Gunn and Road Dogg just constantly laughing, and that's where the party was at. What was interesting is as I was taking my picture, Rick Steiner runs up and starts barking at Billy Gunn's wife just to scare her, and that was pretty fun. And so, and that was next on my list were the Steiners. These two are a little bit more reserved, very cool guys, very intimidating. They were I was kind of nervous to walk up to them just because they had sunglasses on, or at least Scott did. And I'm like, what do I do? But I literally just walked up and I was like, hey guys. And they were a little bit more quiet. Rick Steiner was more of the talker. And I actually told him, I was like, hey, I got to meet Braun during Christmas time for the holiday tour. And instead of saying he was a cool guy, I really enjoyed it, I said he was lovely. And he was like, okay. And even my brother was like, why did you say that? I was like, he was a delight. I loved him. So, but it was really cool. I got an autograph and a picture with both. Actually, really good deals. Probably spent a little over $200 for both pictures and autographs for both. Definitely worth it. I don't regret it.
That's so awesome. Well, and then did you witness any memorable moments that really captured what wrestling fandom is all about?
What was really cool is when you go to these conventions, you see older guys, and then you see people around your age, and you kind of get it, like, hey, we grew up on this, we're big fans. But what I love is that they're bringing their kids, and there are like little kids, maybe like 5 to 10 years old, walking around really excited to see these legends. And I was like, what do you know about these guys? And they are so excited and they're having so much fun. So the fact that I love about this industry and this sport is that it's a generational thing. So you pass it along to your family, and that's what I'm doing with my nephew, is trying to get him involved and loving going to matches and getting involved in storylines. And so that was the coolest thing to see these little kids dressed up and just really excited to be there.
That's awesome. All right, now let's talk about some vendors, because look, any wrestling convention isn't complete without collectibles, memorabilia, and unique merchandise. What were some of the coolest items that you came across?
I had a lot of self-control. I bought one toy, just one.
That's impressive.
One toy, and it was a damn good deal, and I'm so proud of it. And even the other vendors were like, oh my God, that's a really good deal. I was like, I know what, that's why I had to get it. But luckily through this, I have made a lot of good friends out of this that come back every year. Their stores are online, and they do local conventions too, and that's Trending Entertainment and Wrestling Figs Flip. I hope I said that right. But I spent a lot of time at their tables and just walking around in circles. But I did get an Outsiders 2-pack edition of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. They just look so good in the red, the wolf pack. And let me tell you about the deal I got. Usually that is retailed for like $100, and at other tables, or some tables, is $120. So I get it, you have to make a profit. I got mine for $65 at another table. So I was like, how could I not, get it? But that was the only thing I got. There are tons of old vintage collectibles. A lot of cards, autographs, any kind of toy, any kind of figure you're looking for, you're bound to find it. Or if you tell them that's what you're looking for, they most likely have it in their inventory. There was one thing that I was going to get, and I still think about it, so I still may message the guy to get it, but it's an old Macho Man robe. not his robe, but it's like one of the it's like a silver sequin robe. And I was like, how funny is that if I could just walk around the house in that, or just wear it to work, walk around the office. But yeah, it's just a lot of vintage stuff, vintage tees. You can make your own t-shirts there. Just anything you can think of wrestling related, you could probably find it there.
Well, if you walked in that robe at the office, everyone knows you and they would absolutely love it. I think you should do it.
Flying elbows everywhere.
Yeah. All right, any hidden gems or vendors that really stood out?
My friends. My friends that work there, they just have an awesome collection. It's really cool when you walk in there. They know my brother and I, so they're like, hey, where's your brother? Luckily, he came on Saturday. I was there by myself on Sunday, so I just hung out at all of their tables all day. And they know my routine. I literally walking in circles, got my steps in, and there's so much merch that you can look for an hour, walk around and go do something else, and still go back and try to dig into their bins to find something else. It's crazy. People are just digging through stuff, and it's just insane. I mean, I'm shocked that I did not spend more money. I'm actually really proud of myself.
That is impressive for sure, and that's amazing. All right, Des, now it's time for our fast count. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Biggest surprise of the weekend.
Buff Bagwell.
All right. Most underrated guest.
Lex Luger.
Best panel moment.
Godfather walking in with the APA, and we knew we were in for a treat.
All right. Coolest piece of memorabilia you saw.
There was a vintage Hulk Hogan shirt. It was the coolest. I've been looking at it for 2 years, and it was signed by him. It's like a kid's shirt, but clearly from the 80s. Like, it is a legit vintage shirt.
Nice. Most fan-friendly legend.
I would say Rey Mysterio.
Nice.
He was just full of smiles and just loved being there.
Love it. One thing you'd love to see added next year.
More AEW people. I will throw that out there. I will mention that. I get the WWE people can't go for contract reasons, but we only had, I think, one AEW star, and that was Darby Allin. Nobody else. So I want to see more AEW.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what score are you giving this weekend?
I'm giving it a 10. It was so much fun. The best time of the year. Hanging out with friends, talking wrestling. Why not? It's the best.
Love it. All right, Des, give us your final thoughts, because you were absolutely glowing.
I say if you are in the area, it's always in the first week or two of June. It's in St. Augustine. It's great. The weather is great. Free parking. And everyone is so friendly. And thank you so much to the people that came up and said that they watched our podcast. And it was the coolest thing. I was stopped so many times over the weekend. It made me feel really, really good that people were sitting front row of the panel and said, I listened to your podcast. I just wanted to meet you. And it was the coolest thing. And thank you for like the little gifts that I got too. So yeah, I got a Funko Pop. I got a Shawn Michaels Funko Pop.
Wow, that's amazing. That's the best way to close out the show.
Yeah.
The best way to close out episode 1 of season 4. That being said, that actually wraps up this episode, first episode of season 4. What are your thoughts? Please shoot us a DM at the Chutes and Ladders. Like always, please like, share, and subscribe, both on YouTube and Spotify. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josten.
All right, until next time, have a blessed day and a blessed week.
Have a great week. Bye, friends.
This was another episode of the Chutes and Ladders podcast.